Hi guys and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to do a part 1 of the card review for the Hearthstone's upcoming expansion, Whispers of the Old Gods. But before I do, let me mention a few things about the latest patch that went live yesterday. A lot of you guys wrote to me saying that you were utterly confused and you didn't know what's going on, so here goes my explanation. In the new patch, you'll be able to pre-purchase the new expansion's 50 cards and get a unique looking card back. Personally, I feel like this card back is one of the best in the game at the moment, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. However, you cannot open the packs up until the expansion actually launches. You are now able to obtain the free Paladin hero, Lady Liadrin, via a promotional event in the World of Warcraft. You will need to get a character up from level 1 to level 20. It can be any race, it can be any class, and it could be done on both paid and a free subscription. Please note that even if you already have a high level toon, you still need to level your character yourself. My word of advice, do invest those 2 to 3 hours and get the portrait. It really is a cool looking one, and plus it's free. If I remember correctly, I spent around 10 hours getting the Nexus card back. I believe it was from the Heroes of the Storm, and definitely a big difference there. Perhaps the most confusing change is the 18 deck slots. Now, it makes our life much easier to experiment with new cards and decks, and honestly I am looking forward to when the expansion actually goes live. I'll get to do that. Speaking about cards, you can now disenchant the cards from all of the previous adventures, both golden and no golden, so it's a good time to get rid of the cards that you will know that you will never use and craft something that you want. Another word of advice, don't craft anything now, guys. It's only a month left or so until the expansion actually hits, and before rushing to any decisions, first let's see the shift in the meta that the new cards will bring, and then make your decision to craft something. You may think now that you want to craft something and play with it in a wild format, but what if the standard format will be just so much better, a slower metagame, and you will just regret making your decision now. The last and final thing introduced is the deck recipes option, but it is targeted, I think, towards more towards the people who struggle with building decks, which mostly applies to newer players. Overall, the feature is great. I've checked it out myself, and definitely not completely useless even to experienced players. Alright, so now that's done with, let's take a look at some of the cards that have been announced at the moment. First we have Cthun, a very interesting card, one of the 4 old gods that we have seen so far. I honestly see great potential for this card, both in competitive ladder play and for my challenges on the YouTube channel as well. I'm sure that one of you guys is going to suggest something like kill your opponent with only doing damage with Cthun or something crazy like that, and I'm going to attempt that and put my best abilities forth. Personally, I feel like if you do decide to run Cthulhu in a deck, you will have to add cards to the deck that benefit it in a way. For example, the Beckoner of Evil and the Twilight Elder, 2 cards that have been revealed so far that benefit Cthulhu in a way that, you know, it boosts his stats wherever he is, whether he's in a deck, in a battlefield, or in your hand. It doesn't really make a difference. Honestly, the stats of these cards, the 2 mana 2/3 kind of vanilla stats, it's basically a river Crocolisk, nothing special about that. The 3 mana 3/4 also a spider tank, nothing special about that. We also know at this point that we are not going to be seeing Cthulhu and the cards like Twilight Elder and Beckoner of Evil in Arena, so that's good. It's not going to flood up your pool of cards there. One more thing that I have to mention is that I am really on the edge at the moment about whether Cthulhu deck will actually be competitive and we'll see competitive ladder play or will be played in tournaments or something like that. Honestly, I feel like we'll have to wait and see. If I was to predict something, I feel like it will be a bit too slow for the current metagame, but honestly, with having all of the cards from GVG and extra rounds being gone from standard mode, I feel like maybe we will see something good come out of this. The other 3 cards that were revealed to us on day 1 were Validated Doomsayer, Corrupted Healbot, and Polluted Hoarder. Basically, they tried to introduce the concept of corrupting the cards that we already know and love to something different. For instance, let's take a look at Polluted Hoarder. He's a 4 mana 4/2, kind of stats doubled from the initial Loot Hoarder. He was a 2 mana 2/1. Death Rattle is the same. Honestly, in constructed most likely will not see play. Maybe in a patron deck, but even there it's a bit of a stretch. In Arena it's a great card. I would definitely pick it over a Silver Moon Guardian or something like that. I like it. Alright, so moving on to Corrupted Healbot, 5 mana 6/6, Death Rattle, restore 8 health to the enemy hero. Personally, I don't see this card being played anywhere except Priest and Druid. Druid because you can play the Wailing Soul Druid version and be very happy with that. I don't know if it's if the stats actually work too well in the Silence Druid, but you know, we will see how that plays out. The one potential that I do see for the card that makes me really excited is that you can play it in a Priest deck and do an OTK with Baron Ravendare with Okanai Soul Priest and Devil Circle. That potentially would be really fun to pull off, and I'm sure that one of you guys, if not already, have suggested this challenge. The final card that they revealed to us on day 1 was Validated Doomsayer, 5 mana 0/7. At the start of your turn, set this minion attack to 7. So basically the effect is phrased in such a way that even if, let's say you Elder Peacekeeper it at the start of my turn, it's still turns back to a 7/7, so basically it is not weak to Elder Peacekeeper or Keeper of Uldaman. However, I still feel like this card is easily silenceable, easily removable by BGH, and unless they nerf BGH, I don't think that this card will see much play in any deck. I would personally just take this guy in, for example, a aggressive warrior. I was thinking of that, maybe even in an aggressive druid deck. I was just considering comparing this card to something like a Fel Reaver, and honestly, even though it has one less attack, I feel like this card is actually not too bad. Alright, the next card is Stand Against Darkness, a paladin 5 mana spell, summon 5 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. Personally, when I saw this card at first, I had a little craigasm because I thought, oh my god, the potential of this card is insane, when you can basically buff the crap out of it with Quartermaster and just have a good day. However, after like 10 seconds of thought, I realized that Quartermaster is actually exiting the standard format, so we will not see that combo there. So this card basically is a little bit useless in the standard format. One card that comes closest to be comparable to Stand Against Darkness is Dark Whispers in Druid, and that card does not see play at all, despite the fact that Wisps are not really interactive, whereas in Paladin you get the Warhorse Trainer and to buff your Silverhand Recruits and also the Quartermaster, but that only applies to Wild. I still wait to see the day when I can play this card, let's say in a Wild format, and play it with Quartermaster and see if it actually is viable or it is too slow. My prediction is it is going to be too slow and nobody's going to play it. Everybody's going to just forget about that card. So the last thing that I should mention about this card is this card actually puts me one step closer to completing the challenge which I was trying to do for a very long time, which is to basically do damage only using Silverhand Recruits that are not buffed. And this challenge I've been trying to do ever since probably October last year to actually complete it. Just the card didn't help, and the 3 mana 3/3 that summons 1/1 Silverhand Recruits did not help. I think that this card is there just to make my challenge happen. Alright, so the next 3 cards were revealed yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago. They are the Hogger, Doom of Elven, Giant Sandworm, and Eater of Secrets. Eater of Secret Paladins and Freeze Mages. Anyway, the Hogger, it's basically a more beefy version of the previous legendary that we know and love. Hogger, which is a 6 mana 4/4 summon 2/2 taunts after you end the turn. This card is kind of similar. Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a null with a taunt, and it's also a 2/2. Stat-wise, 7 mana 6/6 does not die to BGH, so that's always a plus. Comparable to Trogzor. Trogzor does not really see play, but it's not horrible either. So it's kind of in this middle ground between if you have it, use it and don't disenchant it. If you don't have it, then don't go out of your way to craft it. I don't know if this card will actually see ladder play, but if, for example, the Cthun decks become super overpowered, then this guy completely eats up the damage in my understanding of the card. So if the Cthulhu's blast hits it once, then it will summon a 2/2 taunt, and it will keep doing that forever. Maybe even eat up all of the damage from Cthulhu. So I'll definitely check this guy out and definitely play with him when he comes out. Alright, so 8 mana, 8/8, Giant Sandworm. If this minion attacks another minion and kills it, it can attack again. And at first I was like, oh man, this card is great and I'm gonna play the crap out of it in ladder. However, I saw that this guy does not have charge, and I kind of sighed at that a little bit, because I really would think that this card would have so much more potential if it actually had charge, and for example it could not attack the opponent's face, kind of like Ice Howl. This would be a great way to clear the board as a hunter. Hunters generally don't have very many board clears whatsoever, not talking about efficient ones. This guy is great to get out of Ram Wrangler for sure, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of highlights on Trollden getting this guy. The Eater of Dreams. 4 mana 2/4, battlecry, destroy all enemy secrets, gain +1/+1 for each. This guy is basically a replacement of Cthun Mystic that we already know and love from the GVG expansion. And basically this will completely eliminate all of the Secret Paladins from the Wild format. If Secret Paladins do become abundant once again in the Wild format, then people just put 1 or 2 of these bad boys in their deck and their problem is solved. However, in the standard format, this guy will actually really well battle up against mid-range hunters and freeze mages. I feel like mid-range hunter tempos you out really well with something like a freezing trap on turn 5, and in turn 6 he just plays 7 Hyman and you lose. With a freeze mage, for example, you can always Eater of Secrets at a reasonable time to kind of win the game from there. I feel like this guy will see some ladder play if there's going to be a meta of freeze mages and mid-range hunters, but more importantly, I feel like this guy is a nice little tech card in a tournament deck. Alright, so the last card I'm going to be discussing today is the Klaxi Amber Weaver. It's a 4 mana 4/5, so basically Chilvan Yeti. Battlecry, if your Cthun has at least 10 attack, gain +5 health. So basically it becomes a 4/5. Personally, I feel like this guy will probably not see any ladder play whatsoever. We still have to wait until all of the Cthulhu affecting cards will come out. We've been told that there are 16 of them. If Cthulhu deck becomes viable, this guy obviously makes the cut. But I feel like this guy is not the greatest card. I mean, you would not put a Chilvan Yeti in your deck, and if your Cthulhu has more than 10 attack, it is less likely to happen before turn 4. So you would never drop it on turn 4 unless you really have to and you're playing against an aggressive deck. I feel like this card is just weak. I feel like a Piloted Shredder would beat it. I feel like Ascension Shieldmaster in a Druid deck would beat it. And yeah, I don't have a feeling that this card will see any play. Alright, this is going to be it for part 1 of our review of the Whispers of the Old God expansion. Please leave in the comment section below what kind of challenges you see me doing with these new cards. I'll be really happy to read them and perhaps take up some of them in my later videos. You guys are awesome, stay awesome, you take care now, and have yourself an awesome Tuesday.